Hello everyone. Today's video is going to be a little bit different. This last week or so has been pretty unique in terms of traveling, and it's been kind of a new experience for me. Before I go any further, be sure to subscribe to my channel for more travel related content. If you enjoy, be sure to like the video and leave me feedback in the comments. Also be sure to follow me on Facebook and Instagram for more frequent updates. Links are in the description. So as you may know, I recently spent some time in Grand Teton National Park, and while I was there, I hiked about 40 miles within the span of a few days. And as a result, I developed some pretty sizable blisters on the bottom of my feet, and I had to keep walking to a minimum for a few days to let them heal. So I ended up coming out to Montana to check out a camping spot that was recommended by a friend. I drove up to the location to see if I could find a place to set up camp that wasn't too far away from the parking area, but unfortunately when I arrived on Friday evening, everything near the parking area was full. And since my feet were healing, hiking out onto one of the trails to find a campsite was not an option. Admittedly, it was kind of a bummer. The location was beautiful, it looked like it had some great hiking trails, but since my feet were healing, I couldn't really explore the area. And with that, I ended up coming out to the nearby town of Bozeman, Montana. My main goal was to find a place where I could work on editing my video from the Tetons and get it uploaded, but that proved to be a challenge in itself. Most places that had free Wi-Fi were closed. The library closed by 1 p.m. on Saturday, and it wouldn't reopen until Tuesday. Most coffee shops had closed lobbies. I even tried going to a McDonald's and their lobby was closed. At first, I decided to put the issue of uploading the video on hold and focus on editing the video. But the problem with that is I needed a consistent source of power to keep my laptop running while I worked. Now I do have this generator which will allow me to charge my laptop, but I can only get in a good 5 to 6 hours of work before everything goes dead. Now, I can charge that generator in 3 ways. I can plug it into a traditional wall outlet. Obviously that wasn't really an option. I also have this set of solar panels that'll allow me to charge it in the sun. I can also charge the generator using the 12-volt adapter while I'm running my car. I figured it would be better for me to charge the generator using my car since I could grind out a little bit of money while driving. On Saturday and Sunday, I drove around Bozeman. I made a little money delivering food via DoorDash, and while I was making those deliveries, my generator had a chance to charge. So I got into this cycle of doing deliveries for a couple of hours and editing my video for a couple of hours. But unfortunately, I was not getting everything done as quickly as I wanted using this method. So finally, I ended up deciding to stay at a hotel for a couple of nights so I can go ahead and get everything edited and uploaded. I also made an appointment to have my car serviced because at that point, I had almost put 5,000 miles on my car and I was due for an oil change, a tire rotation, and I also wanted to get my brakes checked. The only downside is that I had to wait a week after checking into the hotel before anyone was available to see me for service. So, what have I been doing since then? Well, after I left the hotel on Wednesday morning, I spent most of the day making deliveries to grind out a little more money. And that was actually going to be my plan for the rest of the week until I hit my brakes on one of my deliveries and I heard the scraping sound of worn out brake pads. Before I left for my trip, I actually had my front brake pads replaced, but the rear pads were only about 50% used. So against my better judgment, I decided not to get them replaced. Probably not the best move on my part, but it is what it is. You live and you learn. Now when you're driving on some mountain roads, you have to apply the brakes constantly to prevent yourself from flying down the hill too quickly. And one of the best examples of this is Needles Highway in South Dakota. And it's one of the roads that I took the most to get to Sylvan Lake when I was staying in the Black Hills. It's a winding road with a lot of sharp turns and traffic going in both directions. So if you're not pumping the brakes constantly, you're going to fly downhill way too fast and you run the risk of colliding into another driver, running into a cliff, or running yourself off the mountain. And I must say a good amount of my driving was on that road and similar roads, so I can understand why those old pads wore out so quickly. Anyway, here's where the new challenge comes in, and this challenge is a lot more mental than anything. Having to wait a week for my car to be serviced, I admittedly felt a little bit stuck. Not in an anxious way. I wasn't freaking out or anything like, oh no, what am I going to do, or anything like that. My reaction was more of, oh well, I guess I'm just not going anywhere for a week. And I took that as an excuse to slack off. Most days I did nothing but sit in my car, played around on my phone, watched movies, played video games, and did absolutely nothing productive. I didn't read, I didn't get any exercise, I even started eating crappy food again. When I was in the wilderness, I ate mostly eggs, beef jerky, oatmeal, nuts, and I was 100% content with that. Here in Bozeman, I've eaten at a ramen shop 3 times, I went to McDonald's twice, I went to Burger King a couple of times, and a few nights ago I went to Chipotle. And for a moment I returned to some of my old habits of just mindlessly wasting time. And one of the biggest points of going on this journey was to break some of those habits of simply wasting time. One of my biggest personal strengths is also my biggest downfall. I'm very adaptable and very accepting. It took me only 2 nights to get used to sleeping in my car, and now that I've been doing it for almost a month, I'm just as happy sleeping in my car as I am in a hotel. With that said, I tend not to worry about most things, and because of that, it's very easy for me to become stagnant if I do not keep my mind actively engaged. My energy levels drop, everything feels like a chore, I eat out of boredom, it's just one thing after another. And after several days of this vicious cycle, I decided to finally pick up a book and go find a park to read in. The book I'm currently reading is Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. And after reading for a bit, I decided to go ahead and take a walk and listen to an audiobook while I was walking. The audiobook is one that I've listened to more times than I can count. It's The Strangest Secret by Earl Nightingale. I read and listen to material like this often, and I say it's quite necessary. Inspirational material like this directs one's mind away from a place of fear, worry, doubt, and uncertainty, and it redirects the mind to a place of confidence, faith, imagination, and control. Without proper inspiration, I likely would never have gone on this journey, and you definitely would not be seeing this video right now. So many mental blocks could have prevented me from pursuing this dream. The fear of the discomfort of living in my car, the thought of looking like a fool and not wanting to be embarrassed, the uncertainty that comes with not having a steady job, doubt that anyone would want to watch my videos, wondering if I have enough experience to take a trip like this, worry of what would happen should I fail, thoughts of where this might take me in the future. Every one of these doubts and others have crossed my mind at various points. And had I let these thoughts and doubts take me over, I would have never left Wisconsin, and I certainly would have never started this channel. I do have a strong belief that anyone can have anything they want in life as long as they're willing to work for it. But keep in mind, a lot of the work that needs to be done is mental. If one desires something in life, but the doubts in their mind prevent them from even attempting to go for it, they have little to no chance of ever obtaining it. And for me, constantly absorbing positive and inspirational material is what keeps my doubts at bay. If I stop absorbing inspirational material, my doubtful thoughts take over, I become stagnant. My mind, when unstimulated by inspiration, will focus on the difficulty and mundanity of certain obstacles instead of my ability to overcome them. Clearly, that is a highly destructive mindset, and my actions are often a direct reflection of my mindset. When I overfocus on the difficulty of an obstacle, that leads to procrastination and lack of enthusiasm when I do get around to facing said obstacle, if I get around to facing it at all. And eventually that lack of enthusiasm bleeds into every aspect of my life. I turn to the things that are easiest or the things that offer the least resistance. Instead of going for a walk or working out, I just sit in my car and binge movies. Instead of preparing a healthy meal for myself, I go to the drive-thru of a fast food restaurant. Instead of working on a new video or brainstorming ideas for new content, I take a nap. Not because I'm tired, but because I lack the desire to do anything else. Clearly, I realized that this was a problem because I cannot allow myself to fall into a slump like this every time I'm forced to stay in an area for an extended period of time. This may be the first time I've encountered a situation like this, but I know it will not be my last. So, as a solution, I've made myself a very simple daily checklist that I must complete before I allow myself to relax each day. Since I'm more or less operating on my own time, I have no excuse for not completing every item on this checklist. Some of the items on this list include reading 10 pages of an inspirational book every day, walking at least 10,000 steps, listening to at least 30 minutes of inspirational material, getting in a good kettlebell workout, and meditating for at least 15 minutes. I do have other items on the checklist pertaining to working in various projects, but by giving myself this list and making sure that I'm staying active mentally and physically, I'm pretty much guaranteeing that I'm making every day as productive as possible. And since I'm making a point to study inspirational material day by day, I'm less likely to fall into a slump as severe as the one I just pulled myself out of. Aside from that, I probably will spend some time in Bozeman for a while. I just had my car serviced, so I'll spend a little time grinding out a little bit of money before I leave the area. I'll also explore some local parks and do some reading, meditating in those areas. But for now, that's about all that's going on. Thank you all so much for watching. I know this video was kind of just a big update for the last week and a half or so of my life. Be sure to leave feedback in the comments if you would like to hear about some of the inspirational material that I study on a daily basis. I'll be more than happy to share that with you in future videos. But anyway, that's all for now. I'll talk to you folks later, but until then, keep your spirits high, let the good vibes flow, and we shall meet again. Take care.